I just filmed this video, but my camera decided not to record it, so hey, yay, here we go again. Whoop, whoop. Hello for the Bookworms, it's Katie. So this month, discovering Jane Austen read was Northanger Abbey, so that's what I'm going to talk about today. If you don't know, and I'm going to explain it just because there are so many of you new bookworms here on this channel. So Discovering Jane Austen is the series where I read all seven novels of Jane Austen over the course of 7 months. So every month one novel. This month novel was Northanger Abbey. We're in the 5th month right now, so there are 2 novels left. I will leave you all of the information in the description below, because this is a project that if you want to do that, you can do it whenever you want, and there's a Goodreads group, so yeah. Check it out if you want to read Jane Austen with me. Let's talk about Northanger Abbey. Our main protagonist is Catherine Morland. We get a little bit of a description of her growing up. She was quite a wild child. She didn't really care for education, but that all changed when she got older, and when she's 17 years old, she gets invited by their family's friends, the Allens, to go with them to Bath, because she was always stuck in this tiny little village in the country and she didn't really see anything of the world. So they go to Bath, where they meet new people, of course, and Catherine befriends a girl called Isabella, who soon becomes one of her most intimate friends. But Isabella is not really what Catherine can't really see all of Isabella, let's just say that. And of course, Catherine also meets the very handsome Mr. Tilney and soon falls in love with him. So far for the plot. Now, I really liked Catherine. She is very naive, and in a lot of ways, Northanger Abbey read like a young adult book, and I believe the biggest reason for that is because Catherine was so naive. She doesn't really catch on to things, like she needs everything explained, especially concerning Isabella and her brother, because they are both more of a manipulative kind, and Catherine, she's not really used to that. She comes from this very small village where all the people are honest and very upfront with their opinion, and Catherine can't really understand that people don't say what they think. Like, she's a little bit puzzled by that. I was actually really rooting for Catherine and Henry, even though I found it very concerning that they are not on the same intellectual level, because whenever Catherine was with Henry and his sister Eleanor, who she becomes friends with, she would notice a difference in their, tastes and in their reading experience and just in their education. She would doubt herself and put herself down because of it, and I find that very concerning. It makes for a power balance, and it's not just he's rich and she's poor, and he's a man, she's a woman. But think of Elizabeth and Mr. Darcy. Elizabeth is poor and Mr. Darcy is rich, so there is naturally a power balance. But also, Elizabeth is just as witty as Mr. Darcy, and she can definitely stand up for herself and value her own opinion, you know what I mean? And Catherine doesn't do that, and I just find that very concerning for her character. But there wasn't really a relationship arc with their relationship with Henry's and Catherine's, which I found a little bit disappointing. And also, I wish there was more of the friendship of Catherine and Eleanor, because although we have the friendship of Isabella and Catherine, that is very much portrayed, we don't really see the friendship form of Catherine and Eleanor, and I wish we would see that. Oh, I wish there were more sequences of that. I also wish there was a resolution with Isabella, because Catherine just kind of decides not to answer to her letters anymore. But I really wish there was some kind of resolution. It felt a little bit abrupt. Generally, the pacing of the book and the tone of the book was a little bit off for me, because In the beginning, it read very much like any other Jane Austen novel ever. A young girl, you know, coming to Bath and falling in love, making new friends. That's very much, you know, what you expect. But then in the middle of the book, the tone suddenly changes. Catherine is very much infatuated with the idea that the abbey where Eleanor invites her to is kind of like in her horror mystery books that she's so eagerly reading, and it reads almost like a Victorian horror mystery novel, which would not be invented for, you know, another 60-70 years or so. But that was an odd tonal shift, and then it just suddenly ends, and it's just, you know, happily end. Okay, I guess. But it was a little bit odd, and it startled me a little bit. One of Catherine's favorite activities is reading these mystery horror novels. So I said earlier that this reads very much like a young adult novel, and another reason for that is that almost everything is more plain and spelled out, because especially in the beginning, when I started the series, when I started reading Jane Austen, and with all the other Jane Austen novels I've read so far, I always had the problem that I had to read between the lines and had to think extra, you know, had to think a little bit more about what people were saying to get the real meaning behind what they were saying. So sorry for the changing camera, and you know, my voice is now probably going to be a lot more squeakier than it was before, but my camera just decided to say, fuck you, I'm out of the shit, and now I'm filming with my phone. So, here we go. As I was saying, it has a lot to do with Catherine's personality, that everything is more plain in this book, and that's because it also reads so much like a YA novel. It's because Catherine just needs that. She needs that plainness. She needs everything explained to her. Jane Austen, she always, you know, comments a little bit sarcastically on society, but I feel like in this book it is very obvious and plain, and she talks a lot about her ideas how, you know, society sees women and how women should behave in society, and about novels and novels place in society and how novels are seen in society. And that is very funny. There's a whole paragraph where she just basically stops the story and just goes on a tangent on novels, and that is very entertaining. I would definitely recommend you to read that paragraph. That's it for today, basically. I hope you're having an awesome day. I hope you're reading something beautiful and wonderful, and I will see you soon. Bye!